Good morning, boys and girls, and welcome to week 26 of our art class, and I'm really happy to see you. If you remember back to last week, we were talking about still life, right? And we were talking about still life and creating something that doesn't move, and creating a sense of space, and we were going to focus on color families, right? One in particular. We are going to apply knowledge of complementary colors. You say, complementary colors. Excellent. Okay, so now remember, please get into a good space, right? Be positive. Before we begin, make sure that you are in a nice quiet area where you can be the best artist that you can be. Get yourself in a mindset where you can do it, right? Even if it seems too hard or overwhelming, says, I give up. No, I don't give up. I try another way. I'm not good at this. Yes, you are. I'm just getting started. I have to keep trying and be positive, right? You can do it. I'm very proud of you always. Okay, so now that we are in a good frame of mind, we can begin to create. And if you remember, the artists Camille Pissarro and Jean-Baptiste Chardin, we were using those as examples. And last week we talked about how these two artists used complementary colors in their pieces. And so we are also going to include using complementary colors. So now, if I chose this orange and this blue, that is because they are color complements. That is because those two colors are directly across from one another on that color wheel. That means they are making each other look their best by being complements. So think of it this way. I don't know if I did this last week, but I'm going to remind you. We're going to revisit that if we did discuss it last week. Complimenting. When you compliment someone, pretend that we're walking we're walking down the sidewalk, right? And I say, "Oh, good morning," and we're shaking hands, and I say, "You look so wonderful today. I love what you've done with your hair." That is going to make that person feel good. You're going to feel good about yourself. And when you feel good, you smile. When you smile, you look good and you look your best. So I would like you to think of complementary colors as complementing one another. Just like we complement one another as people, colors complement one another. They make each other look their best. Okay? And so you can choose whichever two complementary colors you would like. I chose orange and blue, but now for this week's piece, I'm gonna choose different ones. So let's see. I'll leave the wheel there, and I'll leave this example up here. That way you can still see it. And we're gonna start where we left off last week. This is where we left off. We made our composition. You say composition? Good. Or that's another word for our drawing. We placed everything where we wanted it to go, and we added the background color, right? I told you to pick a neutral color, something light. This tan color is for my table surface, and then this pale yellow is for the wall space behind it, because if you look here, Camille Pissarro has some type of wallpaper here on her wall, and then Chardin just has his wall green right next to his table and right next to her table, the wall area. Okay, so we're going to do the same as those artists, and we're going to add more now, okay, more to our drawing. So we need to add the complementary colors. So I'm gonna choose violet or purple, and if I go directly across the color wheel from my purple, I find what? Excellent, my yellow. So those are my complementary colors that I'm going to select. And I'm going to, I think I'm going to add my stripes as being the purple. So I'm going to simply trace and add my color. Now we're going to be doing a lot of things today, boys and girls. We're going to add our color. We're going to color in one direction, boys and girls. In one direction, taking our time, showing our very best effort, right? We are not here to produce garbage, ever. We always want to do our very best work so that we can be what? Yes, proud of it. Okay, so maybe this picture is going to be striped all the way down. That way I can add some more purple. Okay, and in here, I'm going to go around as if this stripe also continues on the interior or on the inside. Okay, now I'm going to color the rest of it in marker. Why am I going to choose marker? Because I did my pale yellow wall in crayon, and so now I want to add a contrast, which means a difference in yellows. So I'm simply going to do this. And for today, you are going to need some crayons, your artwork from last week, some markers if you'd like to use markers, and then a few other materials that I will show you as soon as we're done coloring. But for right now, we really just need to add the color. Okay, so I colored that very super carefully, right? Okay, and now I'm gonna add my stripes to my mug. Maybe I'm gonna make wider stripes. And notice that I am adding curved lines, curved. Why curved? Anybody know? Yeah, very good. If you said curved because it goes around the cup, you are correct. I want it to look as though it is curving around, looking like a three-dimensional form, like the cylinders that we created, right? I'm gonna bring you just a little bit closer. Okay, so there it is. Now I'm going to carefully color in one direction, one. And remember, when I color in marker, you can see all of these marker lines, which are fine, but try to keep them going in the same direction, please. Okay, and I'm gonna leave that one yellow. And so I am going to be creating a pattern. You say pattern. Great. Okay, so I'm creating a color pattern with my complementary colors. And that just means that I am going to repeat my color. So I have a purple stripe, and I am repeating again another purple stripe, and yet a third purple stripe. So now I have 3 purple stripes, and I'm gonna color my handle purple too. I wanna do that purple. Okay, and so I trace very carefully, and then I go in and I add my color. And I always try to color in the same direction. It's hard to do sometimes, but if you go slowly and carefully, it will show your very best. Okay, And now, in order to make my pattern repeat the color, I do purple, yellow, purple, yeah, yellow. Okay, so I'm going to do purple, yellow, purple, yellow. And I'm going to color this stripe yellow. And I'm going to color my last space of a stripe here yellow. Okay, now notice, boys and girls, you can decorate your mug of hot cocoa any way you like, right? Here I only put 2 very thin stripes. Here I added this rim here. Maybe here I'm not going to do that. Maybe I'm going to make this right here purple, this little piece of the plate, but maybe I'm going to color the inside of the plate in crayon to show a difference, to show a contrast. And maybe I want to add some more elements to my piece here. Let's see. Okay, so there I have colored super carefully. Maybe I'm going to add, I don't know, a little tiny cookie or a piece of a cookie. I can make a letter C on my plate. And then I can connect it with a curved line. And that would show maybe a little tiny cookie with a bite taken out of it. Here, I have already drawn a Hershey's Kiss, which I did by drawing a curved line at the bottom and then 2 curved lines going upward. And I'm going to color that in. That looks pretty delicious. And you could add whatever it is that you would like to add. You could add fruit, strawberries, I don't know, grapes, cookies. I'm going to add some chocolate chips here, so I'm going to press very, very hard with my crayon, or if you're using marker, you can color that in. And here I'm going to color the cookie part brown. Right? So now we have a couple of details there. And I also want to add my marshmallows, right? So I can take this same brown crayon if I'd like, and I'm going to make a letter P. Make a letter P right there. That's because the marshmallows are just going in the hot cocoa, and so they are actually cylinders. They go around. They are a form, a 3D form. So I want to show a letter P and then another line on this side and a curved line underneath it. And that will show like a piece of the marshmallow is sunken into the hot cocoa, right? And so I could add many, many, many more marshmallows and make it look like they're one in front of the other or hiding in the background there, right? And then after I add all of my details, I am going to make this line here, the top of my ellipse. I'm going to make, oops, I'm going to make purple. I accidentally just crossed over my hot chocolate. So what I'm gonna do is I'm going to look for this brown marker, and I'm going to add color to my hot chocolate, and I'm going to cover that up. We make mistakes and then we figure out a way to fix them. So maybe I'm just gonna do that, and then maybe I'm going to add this curved line here, maybe a few more curved lines in my hot chocolate in the liquid portion. And then I'm going to color the rest of it in my crayon. and leave my marshmallows white like the paper. So I'm coloring in. I'm also going to color in the hot chocolate that is pouring out of my pitcher, just like this. There. Right? And now my mistake has disappeared. Okay, so when you make mistakes, boys and girls, try not to get frustrated, right? There's no need to be angry. Just take a deep breath and say, how can I fix this, right? You have to problem solve as artists. And now I'm taking my time and I'm coloring. And notice I'm coloring in one direction. I am going side to side. And I am filling in all of my white spaces so that my artwork can be colorful or full of what? Yes, if you said color, you're correct. So now I'm coloring. I'm pressing a little bit hard with my crayon. And there we go. So now I have marshmallows, and I have hot cocoa in there, and I have some items here to eat on my plate. Maybe I'm going to make another cookie here, overlapping so that it looks like this one is on top of this one a little bit, and I'm going to color that in. And I'm going to press hard, and I'm going to add some of those chocolate chips. Or if that's not dark enough, I can always mix media, right? Mix the medium together. I'm going to add some marker to darken those chocolate chips up. They look pretty delicious. Yep. Okay. And now I could either leave my plate white if I wanted to, right? Intentionally, on purpose, I could leave it white, or I could color it in. I think I'm going to color mine in because I want to use the complementary colors, but I'm going to do it lightly. I'm going to use crayon. That way it's a little lighter in value than the marker stripes that are yellow. And there we go. Coloring in one direction. Now, boys and girls, you can decorate your mug and your plate and your pitcher if you have one, however you like. You can make stripes going horizontally. You can make stripes going vertically. You don't have to have stripes at all. You don't have to. It's your artwork. You're the artist, and you are making the choices about your artwork. That's what makes it unique and special and yours, right? Okay, now that we have accomplished all of that, which is a lot, now we're going to add some visual texture, right? An actual texture is how something actually feels. And a visual texture is trying to make it look like how something would feel. So I am going to add some of these lines for the grain in the wood on my table. And if you notice, we are always using the elements of art, which are our artist tools: line, shape, color, value, form, space, and texture. Okay, so I'm just going to quickly just do this. Add in marker on top of that marker is not dark enough. I'm just gonna add a few little zigzag lines, maybe like a letter Z, but skinny and squished. And I'm going to put another one here, and here, and here. And that is going to show the wood on the surface of the table. And then there are little spirals, like a little spiral line, and those are the knots in the wood, but I'm just going to put a couple. I'm not going to use as many as I did on this first example. Back and forth. Okay, so now you get the idea, right? Now you see that this is trying to show a wooden table, just like how Chardin's has a wooden table right here as well, a wooden tabletop. Okay, and so now we have the tabletop, we have the pitcher, we have all that. We can add some steam if you'd like to add some steam there, and it could be gray. I think in gray crayon might be a good choice so that it's not so dark. And all I'm doing is adding some curved lines. And you want to make sure they're coming from inside of your coffee mug. Inside. Because that's really what they look like when they're coming from the heat inside of your coffee cup with the hot cocoa, right? Okay, great. Now, one last element that I would like you to add. We're gonna add some actual texture. And so if you happen to have a napkin and a little tiny piece of tin foil, maybe a spoon if you have one, a scissor, and either tape or a glue stick. Whichever one you feel more comfortable using. So I'm just going to show you what I'm gonna do with these materials, and if you'd like to add it to your piece, you may, and if you don't want to, you don't have to. But I like to add that texture, that actual texture. So here, I added this napkin, and I'm gonna show you how I did that. Look. Check that out. That way it looks like my napkin is slid underneath the plate, right? Like how when we set the table to eat. So this is how I did it. I'm just gonna show you. I take my scissor, and right down here at the bottom, I carefully cut up right on my plate, right at that edge of the plate, and around and around and around my plate like this, a little bit like that. And then I put my scissor down, and this is what I have done. I have cut the bottom portion of my cup, my plate. And then all I do is I take this napkin, I fold it in a triangle, right? Go like this, fold corner to corner, make my crease, and I need it to be a little smaller than this. So I'm going to take my scissor again, and I'm just going to cut. I'm gonna cut this down a little bit so that it becomes a smaller napkin. You don't have to, but you can. And now that I have a smaller napkin, I keep it folded and I tuck it in. See what I did? I take this, I tuck it underneath my plate like this. And then in the back, it shows that piece of the napkin, and all I have to do is put a little piece of tape here. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to leave that there. I'm going to take a little piece of tape, whatever tape you have, and I'm going to tape the back. So I make sure that I position it the way that I like it in the front, tucked in right there underneath my plate. And then I flip it and I join my edge of my paper back together. And all I'm gonna do is put this piece of tape across my paper like this. Now it has taped my paper back together and is keeping a little piece of that napkin there. And when I flip it around, now I have an added actual texture. element to my piece. Okay? And one other element that you can add, or another part to your still life, is that spoon. So whether you just want to take a little piece of aluminum foil if you have it, right, to make it look like it is metal and it's a real spoon, I could trace this spoon if I like, so I'll show you. I'm just really going to trace this spoon. I'm gonna lay it down on top of my aluminum foil, and I'm going to trace around my spoon. So you only need a piece of aluminum foil as big as your spoon. And I trace around. And it's a little difficult to see, but I can do it. And then I take my scissor and I very, very carefully cut my spoon out. Do you have to do this? No, you do not have to do this. But if you'd like to, it's a really nice added detail to your still life. And so I cut around, and now I have an aluminum foil spoon, right? And I can add it wherever I want. Here, I decided I just wanted the handle to look like it was sticking out of our cup of hot cocoa, like I was stirring it around. Maybe I want to do the same thing here. Maybe I decide I'm going to cut this bottom portion of my spoon off. Or maybe I leave it. Maybe it's going to rest on my plate. Maybe I'm going to glue it right there. I think that's what I'm going to do. So I can use the same tape, or if I happen to have a glue stick, if you have a glue stick, you can just put a little tiny bit of glue right on your paper where it's going to go. Don't put it on your tin foil, then this is going to get all wrinkly and ripped. Put the glue where you want your spoon to go, and then place the spoon on top. Maybe it's going to overlap a little bit on top of my Hershey's Kiss, but that's okay. And if you like this hanging off of your paper, that's great. If you don't like it hanging off of your paper, boys and girls, you can simply cut the excess off. Look, I turn my paper around. Can you see it now? There is my excess piece of my spoon. I can either cut it off or I can fold it. I can just fold it and it will stay. I fold it, I tuck it into the back like this, and now I have my spoon, I have a napkin, I have some beautiful steam coming off of here, which I can color in a little bit to make it a little more exciting. If I want to bring this steam around over to here, I can do that. Or I could also have steam coming out of the pitcher. Maybe there's steam rising from the hot cocoa that is being poured into the mug. I don't know. It's your artwork. Have fun with it. All I'm doing is adding curved lines. You can include those or you don't have to, right? It's your artwork. But I'm super proud of you, boys and girls, and I really look forward to getting this artwork sent to me in Google Classroom, okay? So thank you so much for joining me today. Please make sure that everything that you do to the best of your ability. Take your time, show your best effort, color in all the white spaces, be creative, enjoy yourself, okay? Thanks a lot for joining me, and I look forward to getting these submitted into Google Classroom, okay? All right, thank you so much, boys and girls. See you next time. Bye.